Centipede is a video game that I programmed for Atari. I was one of maybe a handful of women in America who had assembly language experience at all. I don't want history to die untold. I'm Donna Bailey, and I was the software developer, software engineer on Centipede. I don't know what the creator really is. I always felt that I was a programmer. It feels weird to say that I was a pioneer, but I guess I was a pioneer. I was living in Santa Barbara, and I had a best friend who owned a record store, so the Pretenders had their first album, but there was one track that I really grew to like it, and the title is Space Invaders. And I tapped him on the arm and said, "What is the Space Invaders?" And he said, "Space Invaders is this amazing video game." And I said, "What is a video game?" So he picked me up and drove me down to the grass shack. My friend Phil gave me a quarter. I put the quarter in and things started moving, and I got killed 3 times, bam, bam, bam. I couldn't tell what to do. I couldn't tell what I was, but what I could see was that the display on Space Invaders looked a lot like the display that I worked with at GM on the Cadillac. So I thought, I don't want to program for GM anymore. I want to program for Atari.
Discover a world beyond your wildest dreams. Discover Atari.
I knew that I wasn't nearly as technically experienced as many of the guys that I worked with, but I knew that I was one of maybe a handful of women in America who had assembly language experience at all, and I felt like that made me one of the most qualified women in America to be hired by Atari to try to make a game. So we're gonna go to Z82 Retro Arcade in Sherwood. I haven't been to an arcade in 20 years maybe.
Knowing that she was one of the first female programmers is really awesome because I'm an up-and-coming female in an industry that is dominantly male. I'm not your typical female. I like working with electronics. I like building things. That's me.
Let's see, so, oh. Oh, this is so weird. It feels familiar though. It's coming back to me. Some people did and some people didn't want to hire a female designer. I always say it's the closest to working in a frat that I'm ever gonna get to. Their method of getting me started was, here's your cubicle, now make a game. And I didn't have a game idea. Atari would take people brainstorming, and there was one idea described in one sentence as a multi-segmented insect crawls onto the screen and is shot by the player. It didn't seem bad to shoot a bug, and so that was the one that I picked, and that was the beginning of it. After you do something, people think that you knew what you were doing, but we had no idea. We were just doing stuff, and some of it worked out and some of it didn't.
Centipedes, and it came out sort of because I don't like spiders. That's a lot of how that happens. And the spider in that is very cartoonish and mischievous and irritating, really. And I liked, having my way over a spider.
Women make up 10% of the workforce in video games at this point. And that really isn't much growth after 30 years. I think that the best thing that ever happened to games is the app. I play Fruit Ninja occasionally, Candy Crush. I think that programming apps would be a lot more fun because a woman could actually get really good at that and not have to involve a whole lot of other people. I hate that women have to fight against something instead of just being able to do their work.